Stranger, what can I get for you?
I'd like to have a captain and a Coke.
A what?
It's Future Boy! Jack, duck, ham, whiskey in the future. Does it glow in the dark?
It's your last chance to go back.
When I said I'd do it, I meant it.
How do you think this ends, Dobbs?
I found something. Call it a place. Call it a time.
All right. Yeah, very good. It's an amazing trailer and a great movie. I get to see it. I'm not just saying that because you guys are here, but welcome to Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil. We're joined by the fellows and Deborah, who created Showdown in Yesteryear. We have the outlaw himself, Greg Lamberson, the screenwriter, the creator, the producer, Tim O'Hearn, and stars Jeff Grennell and Debra Lamb. Yay. It's nice to meet you, Jeff, and it's nice to see everyone else again.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. I'll try to scream.
It's all right. Speak up. Happy Festivus, Neil.
Thank you. I actually I normally have a bunch of lights behind me, but I just took them down recently.
Oh, darn.
Yes, it would be very distracting. But I'm glad that you're very festive there, Outlaw. So, Tim, what's the inspiration for the story?
Well, so it's based on a short I did first, The Door. It's just something I kind of came up with after I had done another film at Dogwood Pass. I was in another film there. And,
so what's Dogwood Pass, by the way?
It's the western town where we shot the movie. They do reenactments and shows there. And so I got home and I was like, I need to get back there and shoot another movie of my own.
Yeah. Is Jeff's character Daryl anything like yourself?
I kind of think so, but that's me.
I thought, maybe it's maybe Tim always wanted to be in the Wild West. I don't know.
Tim and I actually met at Dogwood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was in the other film as well, and then I cast him in the short, The Door.
And The Door actually won a lot of awards, and everybody kept saying, make a full feature, make a full feature. Here we are.
No, it's a really ambitious story for a independent film. So when Tim brought you the idea to flesh out the script, Greg, what did you think initially?
So Tim and I have now known each other for 11 years, which seems like a remarkably short time considering how many movies we've worked on together. Because he was in Dry Bones, The Legend of Six Fingers, Killer Rack, Johnny Gru's Widow's Point. Oh, he wasn't in Widow's Point. Guns of Eden. Plus, I showed all of his films at my festival. So it takes so long to get these projects done that it seems like we've known each other a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
And for Killer Rack, we traveled all around promoting it, and both of our families went to a festival in Puerto Rico called Lusca. So we've known each other a long time, and somewhere in there, we actually had a conversation about maybe doing a Western together. And I suggested that he should go out and raise $200,000, and that was the end of the conversation. But I actually had thought in my head of a story, nothing like the one that we ended up doing. I had seen the short, and when he said he wanted to do the feature, I've always wanted to do a Western. I'm a big Western fan. Love Westerns. Thus my name on the screen, The Outlaw Josie Wales. And I never wrote one myself because I knew I could never produce it. But he wanted to produce this. The trouble was all on him. So all I had to do was write it. So I was ecstatic. And when we got together to talk about it, I'd already seen the short film. And it was pretty clear that the short film would just be the beginning of the movie, and we'd go off in a totally different direction. And when we got together to discuss it, we really didn't discuss anything. We had lunch. We talked about the fact that everything was about to be locked down. I think the only thing we said about the story was we agreed that it would start out as a comedy and it would evolve into a genuine Western, not a Western with the comedic elements, but it would become a full-blown Western by the end. That's all we discussed, and we agreed that we would try and incorporate all the various cliches, the barroom fight, the shootout at some point, things of that nature.
I like that you mentioned that because I think there's a part definitely in the movie where Jeff's character, the first half hour, Jeff's character is very much reminiscent and Wild West moment where things change and it becomes reality for him. And, I think that's a really good movie, and I think that also is relatable to modern day where people, want to romanticize that and not and gloss over things. Maybe things weren't that great back then.
I think we're going to have to mute Jeff when he's not speaking because we're getting a lot of wind.
Okay. I might be able to cut that out. Let me try.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I apologize.
And you're making it hard for us to hear each other. So double apologize, gunslinger.
Yeah,
I've got.
Oh, I muted him while he was talking. Go on, Jeff. Sorry.
Wish I could have done that on set. No.
By the way, Neil, I don't want to take this thing hostage, but I do want to mention that the town that they mentioned, Dogwood Pass, which Jeff was working at, that's in Ohio. So these East Coast filmmakers and West Coast filmmakers teamed up and went to Ohio to make this movie. And I didn't go to set because this was at the height of the pandemic, and I knew these guys weren't taking any precautions. So I stayed here nice and safe while they went out and made the movie.
And they're all here, though, so that's good.
Yeah, it worked out fine.
Yeah. Deborah, how did you get involved?
Tim contacted me and asked if I was interested in doing this film, and he told me about it. I watched the short film, The Door, and I loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and Jeff was fantastic in it. So I just was very excited to be asked to be a part of it, and it worked out for me to join them.
Yeah, initially I had contacted her about the girlfriend role.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So in the modern day, the ex-girlfriend, Tim actually contacted me about that role, but I really wanted to be in the Western part of it. So, and of course, this was a very low budget independent film, but I said, hey, I'll come out there and, be out there for as long as you need me. And so I got to join them at Dogwood Pass for a few days, and it was fantastic. The town itself is so cool. I had so much fun. I must have taken like 1,000 pictures of the town. It was a very, very cool location. And of course, it was really great working with these guys.
I always assumed Tim was actually in Buffalo. So you're not from Buffalo, Tim?
No, I know everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
I've worked with those guys so much that I'm about 3 hours east of Buffalo.
But there's nothing out there. So he has to come out here to do anything.
Right. Yeah, I have nothing where I am either. I'm in a little town called Sandwich. So what happened from Tim, from Deborah going from the girlfriend character to the character she plays?
What do you mean? What? Well, then
what was the thought process there? What
Oh, well, like Deborah said, she wanted to be in the Wild West scenes.
Much more fun.
Yeah. So we worked that out, and then I took auditions for the girlfriend role.
I'm a huge fan of Westerns. Really, really big Western fan. And it had been my, one of my dreams. It's like why so, I would see people I know making these Westerns. I'm like, damn, why doesn't somebody put me in a Western? So when Tim contacted me and was talking about the girlfriend role, I said, well, I really want to be in the Western part of it. So like Tim said, we worked it out that I was able to come out and, because the girlfriend role, I think would have only been needed for one day. And but I'm so happy that Tim put me in that role of Marion. And then I got to work, of course, with Jeff, and he's an amazing actor, and it was so fun.
Let's unmute Jeff here. Jeff, what was it like working with Debra?
It was fantastic. Debra is a great joy to work with. We had the entire cast and ensemble. Yeah, I don't know. It was truly a journey. I tell people that, but it honestly was a journey of a lifetime. We all got along. We was all there for a project. Everybody just came together as a family, and it felt that way.
And I think it shows too on screen.
Oh, definitely. You could tell everyone's having a good time. Greg, when you watch it for the first time, I know there's reasons why you weren't there, but you were disappointed you weren't on set, or at least maybe a cameo dressed up?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't at all sorry I wasn't on set. I'm at a point in my life where I hate being on set if it's not something that I'm not directing myself. I have to take jobs working on sets, and it's no fun. It's only fun when you're in control, when you're creating. So I wasn't sorry I missed any of it, but the first time I saw it, I was thrilled with the movie. I love the movie. Mm-hmm. And I did want to say, I love when you're able to communicate with actors early enough that on those occasions where something happens, like happened with Debra, where they say, I really like this other part, because anybody who's smart will take the actor up on that if the other part's available. To let them take the role that's more enthusiastic. And when I wrote this, Jeff was already part of the package, and I didn't know him, but I had seen his performance. So it was very easy to write the script knowing what his character was. But the first decision was there had to be a love interest, just like Time After Time had, that movie with H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper. You needed that core.
Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah.
So that character was really key, and there wasn't a lot of screen time for her just because of all the action they had to be. So the scenes had to be very specific, and the person who took that role for it to work had to really pull it off. And Debra did an amazing job. And I got to say, the gal that they cast in the role that they originally offered her, she was really good too. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of role that when you're shooting it out, middle of nowhere, you just cast somebody who's available, maybe looks the part, and you take your chances on what you're going to get. And that woman was actually very good in that role.
I thought she was great. I loved her in that role.
Yeah.
What is her name?
Michelle.
Oh, the actress's name? Is it Michelle?
Michelle, yeah.
Michelle what?
Snyder.
Okay. Well, she was excellent. And she brought a lot of great flavor, with her accent and the way her mannerisms. It added a little spiciness to those scenes.
But you added a whole level to the whole film, Debra. You really did. I told you the name Marion McMurtry, it was based on John Wayne's real name, which we made a joke out of, and Larry McMurtry, who wrote Lonesome Dove. I wanted to try and get that sort of gravitas that Lonesome Dove had in a short amount of time, and you really pulled that off.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. It's very flattering. Thank you.
I don't know if you got it in any of the screenings you went to, but in all three of the times that I've seen it on a big screen, the audience applauded at your big moment at the end.
Oh yeah.
Tim, what was it like to film, horseback riding and gunfights? And had you ever done anything like that before?
No, just the other Brimstone Saint was the other movie that Jeff and I were in first. But yeah, like I said, that's one of the reasons I made the short and this was I just loved it out there. Like, because we literally lived at Dogwood Pass for 3 weeks shooting the movie. Like, we never left. Yeah. So we literally lived in the Old West.
I have to say, Tim, you were so good in that role. You were really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, and a very nice blue vest. I liked a lot of the wardrobe in the movie. And my nice mustache as well.
I was thankful I got revenge on Tim from the first movie he was in. Thank you, Greg, for that, by the way.
Oh, easy, Jeff. I mean, I grew up with Don Knotts movies, and The Shakiest Gun in the West was one of them. So I made that connection right away. What if we did The Shakiest Gun in the West and it morphed into a Clint Eastwood movie? That was basically my take.
I have to say, everything from the screenwriting to everybody that I performed with and interacted with in front of the camera and behind the camera, I'm very humbled to be involved.
Now, I know you've got the cowboy hat there. Now, have you ridden horses before?
I've ridden pretty much my whole life. I actually have my own. Matter of fact, the horse you see in the movie is my horse, the one I'm on. His name is Biscuit. And I actually, down at Dogwood Pass, I would actually train horses to be shot off of.
Oh, wow.
And as part of my real life, what I do for a living to make money, I actually take care of horses.
Cool.
That's a humble way of putting it. But...
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the nicest way to put it.
So you're not a cowpoke, but you are a horse poke.
Correct. I am a horse poke. That's for sure.
And Jeff has his horse. Well, you used to at least have your horse at Dogwood Pass, right?
He was at Dogwood. I just recently moved him, probably about a year and a half ago. I moved him closer to me.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was so cool being around all the animals and the horses and
the buggies and everything. It was truly a journey of a lifetime. It really, really was.
Yeah.
In the Dogwood Pass, they were totally cool with you guys filming there?
Oh, yeah. A matter of fact, Steve, the one that plays Steve in the film, he's actually the owner of Dogwood Pass. His name is Mike Montgomery. He actually started that town probably about 8 years ago now. He built a saloon, an Old West saloon, just for people to gather after they got done horseback riding. Well, I think there's roughly 62 buildings there now. There's been countless films, commercials, and what have you shot there now. So it got out of hand, but in a good way.
And when you were saying it came through, everyone's having a good time. Vernon Wells is clearly having a good time playing a villain in the film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Vernon's great to work with as well.
Yep, definitely.
What was it like to get Vernon involved in the movie?
So what I did was I sent him a message. I contacted him, sent him the short, told him we were working on a feature film version. I wanted him to play the town tycoon type role, and 15 minutes later, he got back to me and said he would put me in contact with his agent. So.
Yeah, Vernon's been on the show. He's a really nice guy, so I was happy to see him in the movie.
Yeah, he is. He's a stand-up guy. Absolutely.
How about the wardrobes themselves? Were they stuff you got at Dogwood Pass, or how did you get all the wardrobes? Or who was the wardrobe?
So that's one of the perks of shooting there is most of those people in the movie work there, so they already have their wardrobe, costumes, guns. So I think there was 5 of us: me, Deborah, Vernon, and Jesse are the only ones that I had to rent costumes for.
Even some of the costumes that Jesse wore, his black coat was actually mine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All the stuff I wore is mine. Matter of fact, a lot of the leather holsters you see in the film and all that kind of stuff, I actually made.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive. Deborah, when you see yourself in wardrobe for the first time, what was that like?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I tried. I came out the day before I was going to be shooting the next day. And so I was able to get together with, I think her name was Michelle too, right? The lady that was helping me with driving me and Tim.
Renee.
Oh,
that
Renee,
was
that's
Renee.
right. Renee. Oh, yeah, Renee. So Renee, sorry, I got messed up. So yeah, Renee helped me with we had some choices and we put together a couple outfits and figured it out. But yeah, I loved the wardrobe. And I loved everybody's wardrobe. And what these guys were saying is all the townspeople that you see and a lot of the actors you see in the film, they actually work there at Dogwood Pass. And they all had most of them had their own wardrobe. I think they all had their own wardrobe.
Yeah.
And so some of the dresses that some of the ladies were wearing were really cool. But yeah, I love that Old West, the wardrobe of the Old West, the attire, that whole era, the turn of the century. I love that whole thing.
Yeah. So Greg, you weren't on set, but did you were they sending you stuff while they were filming it, or did you not see any of it until it was finished?
Oh,
I'm the writer, and although I'm thrilled with the way my script was presented on screen, I was treated like any other writer, which is mean. Shut up until the movie's been rough on the page. We'll talk to you if we have something to bitch about, but not otherwise. No, I think Aaron, the director, contacted me once to ask me for some last names for some characters so we could list them on IMDb, and I think I just said, like, name them whatever you want, and so he didn't contact me again after that. He did a great job, by the way. I'm amazed by the direction of this film. And you may not know this, but I've written a lot of scripts for people for hire. Sometimes they get made, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get credit, sometimes I'm ghostwritten. This is the first time that I've gotten credit on something I've written for someone else was actually produced, and I could not have asked for a better end result.
Oh, thank you.
Is that by choice, or is it if not always getting credit for writing the script?
Often I'm hired to ghostwrite scripts, by people who either they have no idea how to write a script, or they've tried without knowing how, or they just need better formatting or whatever. And I would rather do that than greet people at Walmart. So it's work that I'm happy to do. It's still writing, and I know I'm always making things better. So
yeah. Brandon Richard is credited for the music. Music's great in the film. So, how hands-on were you on that and Tim? And, were you happy with the music?
Yeah, I was blown away the first time I heard it. I really didn't have much to do with that. That was more between Brandon and Aaron as far as the scenes and stuff. And then Jeremy Price did the sound, the mix, and the Foley, and he was involved somewhat too with the music. So yeah.
Jeff, when was the first time you saw the finished film?
I kept seeing little clips. It wasn't too much before we actually put it out there. By the time everything was edited down, and I was kind of blown away myself, actually. I know that I was in it. I know I was involved, but I really hope in my heart of hearts that everybody enjoyed the journey that we all went on.
Now, did you get to see it with an audience the first time you saw it?
I did get to see it with an audience, yes.
Yeah, we screened it in Ohio.
We screened it in Ohio. It was screened in New York or Buffalo. And I was blown away always by the audience's reaction to the movie afterwards.
Deborah, what did you think when you see the finished film?
I was blown away. I was so proud to be a part of it, and I got to watch it before it was in the handful of film festivals that it was in, and I was able to go to 2 of those. So I did see it with an audience at 2 of those, but I was able to see it before that. I was actually on location in Michigan shooting a film, and I watched it with the production manager of the film. His name's Jeff Berry, and he loved it. So we watched it together, and I was just very impressed. And at the first film festival that I was at with Tim and Jeff, and Aaron was there too. Yeah. I think that was the Wild Bunch Film Festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I was just gushing to Tim. Oh my God, it's so good. This is the best thing I've ever been in. It's so good.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
And I
and I'm
imagine seeing
so
on the big
happy that
screen is,
everybody
yeah, sorry.
loves it. I mean, I've had so many friends that have watched it and friends that have watched it a couple times or a few times, and
Yep.
they just love it.
Yeah, I imagine seeing on the big screen's great because you know, the scenery would be amazing and the music. Some
Oh,
people,
yeah.
when they think about seeing a movie in theater, just think of the visuals, but you can feel the audio.
Right.
It can be frustrating too, I have to say. We showed it at Buffalo Dreams, and Tim, we had perfect framing and everything, right? It looked exactly like it was supposed to. And then I went to a couple of localish festivals where it was cropped wrong here or cropped wrong there, and I don't know if Barrett had been there, if he would have flipped out, but it really gets to me when they don't take the basic steps to make the film look the way it's supposed to look.
Right.
And it is a really widescreen, you know, epic looking film, which is amazing because it's so, you know, that town, those buildings are so small. It's almost like a children's interpretation of those buildings. Some of them pass and some of them don't pass, but on the big screen, they all look right.
Oh, yeah. Filming in some of them buildings was really difficult because they were small.
I remember just before shooting, Tim said, you know, there's a problem. There's not 2 jail cells. And I'm like, well, can you put a partition between them? Because there were supposed to be 2 characters. So we rewrote that so that Jeff was handcuffed.
Wow.
They're fine. But if you know going in how tight some of those locations are, you can imagine what's just outside the frame, you know, like people with their backs against the wall and stuff.
Yeah, that was the worst, the jail. Like,
oh, yeah. Hands down.
Aaron spent a ton of time, like, basically racing wires, you know, cables and lighting lights and all kinds of stuff out of those scenes because we couldn't get around it. Like, just there was no way to hide anything. It was so tiny. Same with the bank. Because initially,
one kind of cool location. Go ahead.
Initially, all 3 of us bad guys were supposed to go in the bank for the bank robbery. Same kind of thing. Like, there's barely enough room for Jesse and the bank teller. So.
You 2 wait outside.
What kind of festivals did you send it to? Because I know of horror movie festivals and underground weird festivals, so I don't know what other kind of movie festivals out there.
Most of them that it got in were out west, obviously. So Wild Bunch, Tombstone, a newer film festival. It's right in Tombstone. It's pretty awesome. Like the where they screen the films and everything is right in the town.
Texas.
Yep, Texas.
But we got into Gen Con, which is in Indiana, and that's a big
exactly.
Game. And it won Best Feature there. And for the film to do well there, where they're just looking for film, not specifically genre, like the Western festivals, to me, that was a real feather in the cap.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Plus, there's a cash prize, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Oh. That's always a plus. And
since
everyone had a great time, would you ever revisit, you know, this world, you know, with a sequel or a series or anything like that?
Everybody always asks if we're going to do a sequel. I don't foresee that, only because like everybody else is dead except for Jeff.
Spoiler.
Tim, I got a story for you.
Well, I'm not dead.
Right.
So I don't know. It was a big undertaking for my first feature film. I can tell you that. We spent months just pre-production, setting up schedules.
I personally love the genre.
Neil, if I can say, you know, I knew Tim for many years as an actor, and then when he retired from his job, he started directing some shorts and did a good job. And with this film, number one, it was a long script. And it got long when these guys gave me input. I thought I was going to have to cut stuff out, but they kept adding to it. So I knew before they started shooting, I knew it was going to be a 2-hour cut. But Tim, besides putting together the key people and figuring out so many things, which is what a good producer does, he put his own money up for this film. Yep. So he has to get something back before he can seriously entertain a sequel, or maybe if a company offers to fund it. But I mean, that's to me, that's a real commitment of a producer, and the work is on the screen, and that's giving a lot of it to Aaron as well, who, like I said, did an amazing job. But as a first-time feature producer, Tim did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, the first time I met you, Tim, was at Buffalo, and I believe it was your first short film, or at least one of your first shorts. So it's been really cool to see you, go on to do a bunch of stuff and now have a feature film.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was probably Mirror, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep.
The Crow people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you did the short film, did you at that time did you think I'm going to keep making these, or I'm just going to see what's going to happen? Like, did you know like this is what I want to keep doing for now on?
No, like I said, a lot of it was after doing The Door and then seeing the reaction, and then going to a bunch of the festivals I was in, and then everybody kept saying, like Jeff said, you need to make this a full movie. So I just buckled down and said, okay, let's do it.
How about Steve Graff as Sheriff Dobbs? I like this guy in the movie, and
Yep. Steve actually plays at Dogwood Pass. He plays the sheriff. He was actually supposed to be in The Door. But what really happened was right before we started filming The Door, he was coming up through town on a buckboard, ended up coming off the buckboard face first, getting scars and stitches across his face. So therefore he couldn't be in The Door. So I was thankful that when everything came back around that he was available. But Steve actually did some acting in college, I believe.
he was great in the movie. And there's In Memory of Rodney Acton. If you want to talk about him, I'm not sure who.
Yeah, he was the old guy in the saloon that Jeff talks to when he first gets into town. When he's like, talking about
yeah.
Are those your clothes?
Are those your clothes and all that? Oh, you work here and all that kind of stuff. That was Rodney. He passed away. What was it?
Just about a year. Yeah, about a year after the film was made.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did he get to see the finished film? Or?
He did not.
No, he did not.
oh.
But his
I loved that
daughter
character.
was there. She was in the background walking around, and she was in tears the first time she watched it, because I had sent it to her, and she wrote me this big long message back saying, I really wish he could have seen it or whatever. He would have been proud, and blah blah blah. So yeah,
That's my favorite scene.
What's that?
That's my favorite scene. That conversation at the bar. It was just.
I loved that little thing back and forth between that guy. I'm sorry, Roddy, and
It's so different from the normal stuff that I write. Be able to do the fish out of water comedy and sort of that mainstream sensibility.
He was a legit like rodeo rider. Like
yes,
he had some stories. Like he was a great guy to talk to.
Oh yeah,
he was definitely a genuine cowboy.
he was a genuine cowboy. Had his own ranch, had his own horses. He was a rodeo rider.
wow.
The Outlaw here, he mentioned the 2-hour runtime. Was that a problem at any festivals? Is it too long for some festivals?
No, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously those I didn't get in.
Fair enough. We'd have to go and ask them if that was the issue. Yeah.
That was never brought up. The only time it was brought up was when I started looking for distribution. That was brought up a few times.
Tim did say something to me that speaks to the fact that he wanted this film, looking at it as possibly as one shot at doing a feature. Right. He said, I want to do a film where I don't have to worry about the running time. Because I was pushed, I wanted to keep it down to 90 minutes, 100 minutes. I know what happens when you shoot a movie in 15 days. And if you can do without half an hour of material, that means you can spend more time on what you do shoot. And I hate when people shoot over long movies and then they cut 20 minutes out, because that's hard work that they could have put into the other scenes. But he was adamant. He wanted the story to be what it had to be. He wanted to hit all the beats, all the nuances, and he didn't want to have to worry about fitting it into a slot.
Yeah. Well, I think it works for the movie. It works for the genre. The Western does seem like, it doesn't have to be like really fast, cut or anything.
No, it's the reason that people respond to the film too is because it's got heart, and it's hard to have heart in 90 minutes. You have to spend time with the characters to really care about them. And it's 20 minutes before Jeff goes back to the Wild West, which is 10 minutes longer than Hollywood screenplay rules generally say. They want you to get it moving right away.
Yeah.
So to spend the time with the characters, to really empathize with Jeff's character, that's a big part of why the film works.
Yeah. And why the end's so sweet.
And talking to Aaron during the editing, he was telling me, he's like, well, he's like, he doesn't cut the scenes like real quick either. He's like, I let the characters, breathe, so that's part of it too. Like you could cut a lot of those like a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. When you mentioned distribution, where is the film going?
It's available right now on Amazon and Vudu.
So that's on video on demand. Well,
right.
VOD. So is there going to be a physical release?
Yeah.
Well, there is a physical release. I should come prepared for.
We've been out.
I need to order a couple of those.
So yeah, I got the rights all back for the physical release because nobody was interested. I mean, physical media is practically dead right now as far as buying it. So I went ahead and made some DVDs up. You can order them through me. The link, by the way, that I posted does not work. You go to pay for it and it doesn't go anywhere. So,
makes it kind of hard. So how do they pay for it?
What's that?
So how do they pay for it?
They can if they just go. I can order my own. Like I ordered a sample set basically to check out to make sure everything was good.
So if somebody wants to order a DVD right now, Tim, how do they do it?
Contact me.
There you go.
How would they contact you? On Facebook, on email? Because I can add the email, after this over onto the website and everything.
Okay, yeah, Crow the Actor at Gmail.
All right.
Or Facebook, Instagram.
As I don't like to make the interview about me, but as someone who actually has a movie coming out on Blu-ray, physical release, we've had a lot of pre-sales on it. There are a lot of people who want copies.
Cool.
So they're especially I think for genre film, genre fans,
right?
They like to have it. Is there any specials on the physical release?
Yes, actually on the DVD, there's the music video for the title song that we did, and a 7-minute behind the scenes featurette.
What about the short?
Oh.
No, I didn't put the short on there.
Is that available anywhere at the door? Is the door available somewhere for people to watch?
It's on Vimeo, I think.
I would like to check it out.
I took the password off, but yeah, it's on Vimeo now. But
I'll link that too, so people can check that out because I'm interested in seeing the door.
Okay.
The sun's going down on Jeff.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm on the road.
The sun is going down on Jeff.
I had to work today. I apologize. And I'm actually pulled over on the side of the road doing this.
Well, we appreciate that. Yeah.
I noticed the trees aren't moving behind you.
Yeah.
No, they are not.
So, Greg, you mentioned some of the names in the movie. Was Kid Callahan? Is that a reference to anything? And if not, if it is, and you don't want people to know, you can also say.
I honestly don't remember what names were in the short and which ones weren't. I know Daryl Dunwoody I came up with, Marion McMurtry, Orson Kane. I don't know about Kid Callahan. Tim, was the kid in the short?
No.
No. So yeah, I don't know what went on beyond that. Clint Eastwood was in a movie with Callahan in the title. I think that's how I did it. I was looking at different.
I love what you did, Gregory, when writing the feature film. all the characters, especially the kid, the thing with Daryl Dunwoody and the kid, and of course the romance side of it too, which is really sweet and it really works. And but just all the everything that you came up with to flesh out the short version to a full feature length. It's a very good story, and it's action packed, but then you do have the romance in there too, which it really balances it out so that it's not just a bunch of shoot 'em up scenes. But yeah, I really loved the script that you wrote, Gregory.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I believe Aaron is the one who developed the backstory for the kid, with the fact that the whole thing with the book. That was something that I touched on lightly after discussions with them, but they wanted it a lot more pronounced than what I gave it. So like I said, I was worried about screen time, but that definitely goes towards him. But the rest of it's me.
Well, I love the thing with the book, and not to spoil it for people who have not seen the film yet, but there's an Old West book that the Jeff's character has, and in the end, it's a pivotal point in the film toward the last quarter of the film, or the last act of the film. It's really cool. It's really cool.
I will say there's a scene I came up with, and again, I won't spoil it, but it has to do with Jeff's character meeting this sort of mythical character.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something that I didn't plan until I got to it in the script. I said, oh, this will be great. And that's one of the things I'm proudest of, that scene. And never in my life did I think I would be writing for that particular character.
It's a very great scene. I was actually wondering who maybe that. Why? I actually thought maybe that was you, Greg, actually in that scene, but I wasn't sure.
I'm only 5'9"3/4, Neil.
All right. Well, if you shot upwards with the, it's all in the camera angle.
No, that's actually so. Steve Leisure, who played that, he actually plays him. Anyway, he actually plays him at Dogwood. So he had
really?
That's why his costume and everything is straight out of the movies.
And the costume nails it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And Gregory, one more thing about your script is that line, and I want to know if you came up with this line. It's my favorite line in the whole film because I love Sheriff Dobbs. I love that character. Welcome to Dogwood Pass.
Oh.
I don't know. Tim.
I don't remember if that was.
It was perfect.
I'm going to say yes. That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, take credit for it.
I know it was me because in the short they didn't identify the town as Dogwood Pass. And I asked, do you guys have any name in mind for the town? And they said no. So I just went with Dogwood Pass. So I definitely did write that.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that's my favorite line.
Historians will appreciate that you brought that up, Deborah.
What did you say? Who will?
Historians will appreciate that you brought that up.
Yes.
And before we went live, Greg had mentioned that Greg, Tim, and Deborah have a history going back to Dry Bones.
That is correct. Dry Bones was a film that, like this, a friend hired me to write, Tim O'Hearn, a very low-budget horror film, and he wrote it as a starring vehicle for himself. And Deborah helped finance the film, and Tim had a small role in it. And Michael... Like on the first day of shooting, it became apparent that he was sick. He lived for quite a few years after that. It wasn't around the time that he died. So I actually ended up taking over directing it, not entirely willingly, but it was just something that had to be done. But the three of us did have that connection going back to 2013. That was 10 years ago.
Was it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, almost 11. Yeah. So, and where can people see Dry Bones?
That's on Tubi now. Finally, that's on Tubi. So
is it?
Most of my films are on Tubi at this point, except for my second one, a vampire film called Undying Love, which I think is on Prime for $1. So everything's free but that.
Yeah.
And
well,
Jeff,
fine, yeah.
I don't know if you recognize Jeff, but he was in Guns of Eden.
Yes.
Oh.
was one of the militia groups. He's the guy who got to fire the big gun in the truck.
Well, and
And I
Tim
was-
was in it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tim-
I was honored to be in that as well.
Yeah, it needed some Debra Lamb, but besides that, so people should check it out. Yeah.
You know, Gregory did ask. There was a little part that he asked, and I couldn't do it. Just a conflict of scheduling.
Yeah.
I think it was something I offered more out of respect than needing to bring anyone else into town, because that was a big film for the money that we shot it on. There were a lot of characters in that, and you know, Jeff was a real tough negotiator. So
Played hardball.
Play hardball.
came out in his RV, you know, parked it by the farm where we shot.
So we
Yeah.
want people to see Showdown in Yesteryear, but are you working on anything currently, Tim?
We just finished up shooting it's like a creature feature sci-fi movie locally here where I live called Reset. So that should be available sometimes later 24.
Sounds good. How about yourself, Deborah?
I have a few things coming up for next
You're
year.
always very
This
busy.
year,
I said you're always very busy.
well, this year I was supposed to be really busy, and all of my projects, and this has nothing to do with the SAG strike or anything, but just the projects that were supposed to happen this year, none of them happened this year. So now all those projects are happening next year, but it should be a much busier year than this year because, oh, good, we can see Jeff now.
You can see me now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have some things. One of the main projects that I'll be doing this coming year is called Vampire Penance. If you look on IMDb, it shows up as if it had already been released, but we haven't actually shot it yet.
Okay.
So we're shooting it this coming year.
All right. Yeah. I know if people get ahead of themselves and put stuff on IMDb, it can, look like it was made previously.
They tried to change it. They tried to change the status
IMDb is
of it,
very
and-
hard to change anything. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Jeff, what are you working on currently?
Currently, I've actually auditioned for a couple stage plays.
Oh,
cool.
I did. Stage plays they're very challenging. I think that's kind of why I like them. But yeah, we'll kind of see how that goes. I've thrown my name in the hat on a couple other films, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, good luck on that. And The
Thank you.
Outlaw, what are you working on?
As you know, I'm relaunching my film festival, no longer Buffalo Dreams, now called Amazing Fantasy Fest. I am also in the process of launching a nonprofit, which is meant to help grow the film community out here. It's going to be a lot of volunteerism in that. Started teaching screenwriting. I think the next project has to be my long-delayed werewolf film, which I read.
I'm looking forward to this. I love the seeing like behind the scenes of the puppetry on the house. That was very exciting.
It's a real passion one. I think it's my best script, but the money we raised in the previous campaign was specifically development money to create some stuff to try and bring investors in. And the guy who's helping me go after investors really hasn't had any luck. So I may have to crowdfund that, which I'm really not looking forward to doing again. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do.
When is the first Amazing Fantasy Film Festival?
That will be in mid-September. It's going a few weeks later than Buffalo Dreams did.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to go. Not just because you're here, but I always love Buffalo Dreams. I've been to a lot of festivals, and I'm not saying, some very big ones, they're bigger or whatever, but I love the ones that has a community feel. And Buffalo is one that you can, there's people that come, people really want to root on other filmmakers, and you see people grow. And I like that.
This will be the exact same festival, honestly. It's just that I'm doing it alone. I had a partner for the last 13 years, and now he's into publishing, and it was just time for that one to close down and to rebirth it, so to speak, under a slightly different format.
And a slightly less, not as big a name. I finally remembered how to say Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival, and now it was
yeah. That was a long name. It was a mouthful.
Yeah, but no, I have a lot of great memories from that, and everyone I always met from there, I've kept in touch with, and it's always nice to see them, creating something new.
Well, we have a whole slate of localish films coming up, which will hopefully be there. Ty's film, Slasher Days of Summer.
Oh, very
Adrian Esposito has 2 films. He has a documentary about the Buffalo filmmaking scene and Special Needs Revolt, which is his big project, his big passion project. Reset, which Tim just mentioned. So, I mean, it could just be one of those weird years where we just have a ton of good local films in addition to all the other things. So it's a really good thing we have 7 days.
Yeah, and that'll be a good kickoff for the first one.
By the way, I loved the supplemental film that you guys did about
End Zone 2.
The one End Zone 2 was one of my favorite movies of the year, and I got to say, it was funny. We had projection trouble, so it was about an hour before we got it on. And I remember going up to Sophia, who came and saying, "Hey, I got to speak to you." And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to show End Zone 2?" And it was like she was going to be fine with that. I was like, "Oh no, we're going to show it. We may have to do it at a different point in the schedule." It was great on the big screen, especially. It looked so good.
Yeah, I have great memories of making it, my first feature film, and we all rented a cabin and stayed together for a week and made it. And I'm really happy with the movie. And it's for people interested, you could there's going to be a special VHS edition and a double Blu-ray disc with that and the Once and Future Smash.
Is it out on VOD?
No, not yet. It's
okay.
So we have a Kickstarter right now where you could get the Blu-ray or VHS or a bunch of other things. So, okay. But the Kickstarter was because we're self distributing, it was to get the Blu-rays made. Okay. So in 36 hours we met the goal, which is very exciting. So they will actually be out sometime early in 2024.
Winner of Buffalo Dreams Offbeat Cinema Award, which seems to almost have been created for that film. They were perfect. Compatible for each other.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was great experience all around. It's a good time, and we're open now that we made End Zone 2. Originally, we really plugged End Zone 2 as a 1970 lost slasher that we just restored, but we're open about that. We actually made the movie.
Is there an End Zone 1?
Well, you'll have to watch the Once and Future Smash to really understand, I think.
Oh, okay.
The Once and Future Smash is the documentary about 2 actors who played the same slasher character competing to be in the revival. And through the history of this, which has interview footage with all these people in the genre, you learn that there was one film, but the second film was never completed. So End Zone 2 is the never completed sequel that takes place between the first film and the reboot that never doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
Very high concept. The 2 projects go together.
Okay, I'll have to watch those. I'll have to watch them both.
Yeah, and our mutual friend Trista Robinson is in it. Deborah.
Yeah, I love Trista.
Yeah, I talked to her earlier. She says hello.
Oh, good. I need to call her.
Oh yeah, good. So Showdown in Yesteryear, as I knew right away, you can go get that on Amazon, and you can get a copy from Tim. You have to contact Tim. I'll have the email.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how I can put a button on Facebook and stuff to buy things.
You could probably Venmo might be the easiest. Everyone uses Venmo now.
Right.
And also less fees with Venmo. There's not a lot of they don't take out a lot of fees like some of the other platforms.
And you're going to sell them at Dogwood, right, Tim? Isn't that?
Yeah, I'm still working on that with Mike.
So you can go all the way out to Dogwood Pass to buy the movie and then see the town where it was shot.
There you go.
Yeah. Go right. Maybe you might meet some right. Might meet some of the cast, get pictures with them.
I want to set up something this spring when they start doing shows again to to kind of get all the cast members that live out there and go down and, you know, do a whole thing with the movie. People can buy it and posters and all that.
To push an alternative story here that the town was built for the movie and now it's a theme park based on the movie. That's what's going to help.
I love it. Yeah. That's the sequel. Yeah. Can you ride a horse, Greg?
I have ridden a horse twice. I wouldn't know what to do if one was in front of me, but I rode one once in Pennsylvania, and really an amazing time when my wife and I were in Puerto Rico, where we rode the horses through the jungles and through water that came through our thighs, and it was like a 3-hour horseback riding tour to a resort where we had lunch. So yeah, I'm a skilled horseback rider. My own stunts and.
Deborah, you ever ridden a horse?
I have. I've ridden a horse a few times, but it was a long time ago. So, but I loved it, and I'm sure that if I were ever to have an opportunity for a film or just to ride a horse, but especially if it was for a film, I would love to get a chance to ride a horse. Oh, when I was there in Dogwood Pass with everybody, and Jeff said, maybe we'll have time for you to ride my horse, but we didn't have time. It was that they had such a tight schedule on that film, and I shot my scenes close to the end of when they were I think it was the last week that they were shooting, or maybe not quite then. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but they had already been shooting for a couple of weeks, and it was a very tight schedule, so we didn't have time. But the one thing I did really love that Aaron Bratcher, the director, did was we had broken for lunch, but he took me and Jeff, and we just ran around the town, and he got all these really cool shots of us doing different things. And you'll see that there's a little montage in the film where you'll see us, up on a balcony, over there on a porch. And yeah, that was really fun running around. Okay, now do this. Okay, now do that.
I love it. Jeff, what is your favorite Western besides Showdown in Yesteryear?
That's a good question. I would have to probably go with the Tombstone with Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. I actually was at Dogwood Pass. I actually got to play that part for quite some time, learned his Latin and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So I had fun with that.
Yeah. Tim, what's your favorite Western?
No. Tombstone's one of them. Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh, yeah.
He's right there. Yeah. Deborah, what's your favorite Western?
I would have to say Rio Bravo, but I do love Tombstone.
It's a good movie as well.
Yeah, Rio Bravo. I love Rio Bravo, but Tombstone, I have a ton of favorite Westerns, but those are in the top ones.
And Greg.
What about you, Gregory? You're a big Western fan.
The Three Amigos. No. I'm a big fan of the Outlaw Josie Wales, Tombstone, and the Magnificent Seven.
That's a good one. Yeah.
If my brother was here, which he's never on when Greg is on.
It seems intentional.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the Magnificent Seven. He would agree with you on that one. All right. Well, go on.
I was just going to say, I found one thing harder than riding a horse is to get somebody catching you as you come off one.
And I found it harder to get the guy you're catching to jump to his mark to catch him.
Well, along those lines, since there was a lot of, physical stuff going on, well, first of all, was there anything that Greg wrote in the script that you just couldn't do? And was there any injuries?
I had bug bites and bruises and cuts all over me from the stuff I was doing, but I don't think there was anything in the script that he wrote that none of us wasn't crazy enough to try to do.
You rolled down that hill
I did
hard,
like 8 times.
How many times did you roll down the hill?
It seemed like 30, but realistically, it was probably about 10.
That's a lot of times rolling down that hill.
Yeah. And they got it in the first take. They just made you do it for fun after that. What was it?
Yeah.
The deputy fell face first on the steps. That one always impresses me when Jeff throws him out of the saloon.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere the film won a best stunt award somewhere, I think.
It did.
Tombstone.
Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh, that's right.
Did you give him that award or did you give it to Jeff? How did you decide, Tim? Who got to keep the stunt award? You have it. That makes sense.
You don't know what it took to make that movie. Had to do a lot of stunts just to put it together.
Yeah.
You had to push Jeff down the hill. I know.
Shh.
Well, I had a great time watching Showdown in Yesteryear, and not just because you guys are here. It's really a fun movie. It's a really sweet movie. It's a really well-made movie. People check it out, and it's always fun to talk with all of you. And it's good to meet you, Jeff, for the first time.
Good meeting you, sir.
Yeah.
Good talking to you again.
Thanks, Neil. Happy New
Really
Year,
nice seeing
boy.
you again, Neil. Nice seeing all of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a great New Year's, everybody.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Any parting
Thank
words,
you.
Outlaw?
Happy New Year
Thank
to
you.
Troy.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
tell Troy. He's only been on a couple times this whole year, but he is retiring in February. So after that, he's going to be on the show a lot more.
He wants his own show then.
And then he wants it right. And then he's going to play hardball, and I'll have to pay him or something. But he's very excited that he'll be retiring.
Excellent.
All right. See everybody. We're going to play the trailer again here to close up the show. But thanks everybody, and I'll talk to you all again soon.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. God bless everybody.
It's Future Boy. Jack, duck, ham, whiskey in the future. Does it glow in the dark?
It's your last chance to go back.
When I said I'd do it, I meant it.
How do you think this ends, Dobbs?
I found something. Call it a place. Call it a time.